Hello, Elizabeth here, and today I'm going to show you how we made this 6-foot nutcracker decoration, Norman the Doorman. The base technique for making this has been a viral trend over the last several years. It uses some building materials from the hardware store, and then the decorating is fully customizable to your style. I'm going to walk you through everything step by step. Okay, listen up. You are a strong, independent woman and you don't need a man to help you build this nutcracker. I am also a strong, independent woman, but I, however, do need a man's help. So I enlisted my lovely father-in-law, who is very handy and skilled with this type of construction, to help me. Everyone say hi, Father Fredward. So Fredward made a wooden base for the nutcracker that is 22 by 18 inches and about 2 inches tall. The legs of the nutcracker are made out of 4-inch PVC pipe, and they each have a 2x4 in the center to support them. The legs are 2 feet tall. There's a 12-inch wooden disc that sits on top of the legs and supports the body of the nutcracker. So the outer edges of the PVC pipe need to stand about 12 inches apart. The pipes are 4 inches wide, so there are 4 inches of space in between the two legs. We screwed the 12-inch disc into the 2x4s, and then we screwed the bottoms of the 2x4s into the wooden base. This holds the PVC pipes in place. Another 2x4 that's 4 feet long supports the body of the nutcracker. So next we screwed that into the center of the 12-inch wooden disc. The body is made out of a 12-inch wide, 4-foot tall cardboard construction tube. This is sometimes called a Sonotube, a concrete form, or a builder's tube. The tube slides over the center 2x4 and sits on the wooden disc. Our wooden disc is just slightly big enough that the tube sits on top of it. But if your disc fits inside the edge of your tube, you'll need to add some staples around the outside to hold it in place. The two arms are also made out of 4-inch PVC pipe that's 2 feet long, and they each have a PVC cap on the end for the shoulders. We attach them to the body by sticking a dowel through the concrete tube. This is just a wooden broom handle. So we needed to drill holes through the cardboard tube and the center 2x4, and we also drilled holes on the inner side of each arm. It was a bit tricky to get everything level. After drilling the first hole in the cardboard tube, we stuck some paint on the end of the dowel and pushed it through to mark the middle beam. Then we drilled the hole in the middle beam and then did that same paint trick to mark the other end of the cardboard tube. Once our holes were drilled and everything was level, we stuck the arms on the ends and then added screws on the outside edges of the arms to anchor them into the ends of the dowel. Then we screwed one more 12-inch disc into the top of that center 2x4 to sandwich everything together. At this point, the basic construction was complete and ready to be decorated. It's a lot of surface area to decorate, so I started with a base coat of spray paint. I used a bright pink color because that's the color that will be most used on the nutcracker. This covered the markings on the construction tube and the PVC pipe. Next, I used painter's tape to tape off the face of the nutcracker, making sure to leave enough room at the top for a hat. And I spray painted the face with a peach color. I used a metallic acrylic paint to hand paint the base, the hat, and the shoulder caps of the nutcracker. It took quite a few coats to get a coverage that I was happy with. I bought a gold sparkly spray paint thinking I could use it on those areas. And it is super sparkly, but it doesn't have an opaque base color like I expected. So when I tested it before adding the gold paint, it was just pink with a thin layer of gold sparkles, and it didn't provide enough coverage. Once I finished hand painting the gold, I used more painter's tape and a garbage bag to protect the face and create clean lines. And then I used that gold glitter spray paint on top of the acrylic gold paint, which created the sparkly gold result that I was looking for in the first place. It just took a lot more time and paint than I expected. I had some gold glitter vinyl left over from another project, so I wrapped that around each of the legs to make a boot. Next, I designed his face. I couldn't find any images of a nutcracker face that matched my vision, so I designed it myself, which sounds complicated, but it's just made out of basic shapes. I used Cricut Design Space to make the design. I uploaded a mustache image from the Canva Elements library, and then to make the eyes and the blush for the cheeks, I used the Shapes tool in Cricut Design Space. I started with a white circle for the eyes, then added a rectangle shape on top, selected both and used the slice function to cut the top half off and make a semicircle. I added another black rectangle for the black line at the top of the eyes. Then I used a big blue circle, a smaller black circle, and an even smaller white circle to make the shiny iris and pupil part of the design. Then I selected the whole thing and duplicated it, and I added 2 pink circles for the blush. I measured the face on my actual nutcracker and put a 12 by 9 inch peach square on the canvas of Cricut Design Space to help me envision the sizing. Once I was happy with the size, I cut all of the layers out of different colored vinyl with my Cricut machine. I layered them together to match my design and then used a piece of transfer tape to pick up the eyes together as one piece to make sure they stayed level and properly distanced apart. Then I stuck all of the pieces onto the face of the Nutcracker. The cardboard tube is a bit textured with little fibers, so if you look closely at my vinyl stickers, there's a bit of a bumpy texture. But overall, I think it looks great and definitely 1,000 times better than I could have hand painted. And so far, I'm not having any issues with peeling. I made sure to leave enough room for his 3-dimensional wooden nose. Next, I used some metallic gold washi tape to add some trim around the hat, the collar, and the shoulder caps and the boots. At this point, he was really starting to come together and look polished. To make the hands, I used 4.5-inch styrofoam balls. Spray paint eats away at styrofoam, so you have to be careful with it. I hand painted them first with an acrylic paint to add a bit of a barrier, and then I spray painted them with that same peach spray I used for the face. When I spray painted them, it still ate away at the foam a bit, but not enough to bother me. It just has a bit of a texture to it. I hot glued the styrofoam balls into the ends of the arm pipes to create the hands, and then I hot glued some gold tinsel garland around the edge to finish it off. I love the look of the gold tinsel garland, and I added it around the hat, the collar, the shoulders, the bottom of the body, and at the bases of the legs. The nose is made out of 2 wooden triangles that are glued together. I used wood glue to fill the gaps and then sanded it down to soften the edges. I spray painted it with that same peach spray paint and then hot glued the nose onto the face. Finally, I thought the body needed a little more detail on the front, so I made 2 X designs across the front of his jacket out of the gold tinsel garland. And that completed my Nutcracker. In total, this cost about 200 Canadian dollars to make. Roughly 100 for the base materials and then another 100 for the decorating materials. Not super cheap by any means, but Nutcrackers this large can be upwards of $500 or $600 to purchase new, and I got to make him look exactly how I wanted. I'm looking forward to many more Christmases of him sparkling on my porch. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and if you enjoyed this video, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel and leave a comment letting me know what sort of projects you would like to see in the future. See you later!